Hello everyone, Septi here, and today I'm going to be platinuming The Last of Us Part 1. This game I was looking forward to for a while, and I platinumed it at the time of editing this 5 months ago. But yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. We start off the game at the beginning of the apocalypse with the main character here, Joel Miller, the grown man, and his daughter Sarah. Now at the start of the apocalypse, everyone's freaking out. That is also Joel's brother there on the left. But we drive out from our house, and into the city we get into a car wreck, and there's essentially carnage everywhere. I didn't show it, but there's like stuff blowing up. Here we find a military soldier, and despite us being a father and daughter, he opens fire on us based on his orders, which is, it's cold. But he sprays bullets at us, and we roll down the hill, and I'll just let this scene play out.
Please don't. Oh no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. Listen to me, I know this hurts, baby. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me.
Unfortunately, Sarah ended up dying, but here, 20 years later, we're brought to the beginning of the actual playable part of the game, with Joel waking up now in a quarantine zone, which is heavily controlled by like the military, and they're very strict, and by breaking the rules you are punished by simply being killed. Another decently significant character here is Tess. She's kind of like Joel's partner that he does missions with, and she's a pretty good character. On their mission to get out of the city and get their weapon shipment back, the guards actually let them through, but then a attack from a group known as the Fireflies happens. They're like a group of scientists, but they also like do stuff like shoot up the quarantine zones, which isn't very cool. But so yeah, the quarantine zone becomes under attack. But Joel and Tess end up escaping and making it to the outskirts area of the quarantine zone. And here we get our first trophy for getting our first one of many collectibles. This is a Firefly pendant. Basically, the guys I talked about earlier, each member has their own pendant with their name on it. And for getting our first one, we get the Fallen Firefly trophy. So I won't cover any more of these because there's like 30 in the game. Here we're introduced to one of the most crucial features of the game. I just want to talk about it quick. It's just the stealth mechanics. Basically, when you see the gray meter there, it means that you're starting to be detected. As continuing on into the mission, we meet one of the head honchos of the Fireflies, and essentially this lady is injured. She got shot, and we kind of have to go move her because basically she was working with the people that stole our guns. And as we want our guns back, after, of course, killing the guy that she needed to have alive, we agree to move a package for her in exchange for over double the amount of guns that we had. And we actually do see her later, so keep her in mind. Now, here is our package. We're actually moving a person. Now, the reason why this person is so special, her name is Ellie, is because she is actually immune to the infection, like fungus that turns people into the infected. So essentially, she was bit, and she had survived 2 weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks, I guess, through the beginning part of the game here, while being bit without having any side effects, meaning she is the only person that they've found in the 20 years of the apocalypse that is actually immune to the infection. To reinforce what I'm saying, later on in the game, which not very later on, they actually see that she has a bite, and as she said, it's 3 weeks old and she doesn't have any symptoms. So they don't believe her because this is the first time that someone has been immune, but seriously, I mean, she was about to get shot over that bite. Another mechanic that I'd like to quickly bring up is the workbench mechanic. I apologize. This is basically just how you upgrade your guns. You can find parts as like an item on the ground, and you can find upgrades to these workbenches. And actually, all 3 of those things that I just mentioned give you trophies later on. While going to drop off Ellie at the Capitol, we actually find out that Tess has been bitten. And it's very unfortunate because she's one of the main characters so far, and she honestly, I didn't show it, but she killed a lot of people, and she was actually a really beneficial ally because obviously, well, I guess you guys don't know, you play as Joel, so having Ellie and Tess to protect you is really nice. But as you can see there, she's bitten. After the group finds out that she's been bit, Tess decides to do the most honorable thing she can do with the little life that she has left, and she makes her final stand so that Ellie and Joel can escape the Capitol building while the ensuing enemies come to kill them. Further on down the story, we meet another cool character, which is this cool dude with the gas mask. He's only really in this one mission, but unlike Tess, he doesn't die, which is nice. He's basically like the survivalist guy who has this whole town like booby-trapped. We get our first of another kind of collectible here when we grab our first training manual. There's not too many of these in the game, but they're spread out a lot. Basically, these give us like buffs. As you can see, our shivs get upgraded, and we get the self-help trophy for finding our first training manual. The poor survivor's friend, Frank, actually ended up killing himself and leaving him a note. So he throws the note on the ground, and this is kind of like a hidden collectible that also gives us a trophy. So we get the In Memoriam trophy for picking up Frank's note after it's discarded. And I apologize because the audio is a bit glitchy here. And after helping the survivor, we get a truck and we drive over to Pittsburgh. But of course, you know, nothing can go well, and we do actually end up getting stopped by bandits. After slamming all the bandits, we get to this grassy little area of Pittsburgh. And after entering this bus here, we get our first of a new type of collectibles, which are comics. So essentially in the lore, Ellie mentions that she wants more comics, so now we get to pick up comics. And we get the Savage Starlight Fan Trophy. Now once again, I'd like to apologize for the audio being delayed here. This was like 4 months ago. Here we actually get another trophy for crafting every item in the game. Basically, there's salvage and materials you can pick up, and after you craft one of all 6 items, you get the Geared Up trophy for, as I said, crafting every item. After making it through Pittsburgh, Joel and Ellie work with another adult and child, being the 2 brothers, Henry and Sam. Now, they both end up having a very tragic story, but for this point, we essentially are trying to escape with them and head through the sewers to get out. We get a trophy here, which this one's actually a missable trophy. I guess not missable because you can go back and chapter select, but, you know, obviously I want to get it the first try. But essentially, we have to stealth past all the guards and turn off this generator while staying in stealth. So if we get caught, we do not get the trophy, and I don't remember getting caught, but I remember it just being a pain in the butt, because as you can see, I keep getting almost spotted, like right there on the left, that guy is about to see me, so I kind of just, you know, book it to the engine, and just quick, you know, just boop, and get the lights out trophy. I believe the audio is fixed from here on out, so I apologize for earlier. Now, here we decide to split up to go through the beginning part of the sewer, as I said, so that we can escape the city, because those bandits have like a huge like armed tank, which is it's crazy. While making it through the sewers, we reunite, and after heading over this like little patch of water with this machine, we actually get a trophy, waterlogged. Funny enough, I don't really know why that's a trophy, but there it is. While continuing through the same level, I got another trophy for fully upgrading a weapon, which I did on just this basic revolver. Back to what I was saying, essentially you just pick up parts and other collectibles for the workbench, and we get the Combat Ready trophy. Now soon up here we get another trophy while exploring for opening up safes. I don't really talk about these because they're you just open them and get some basic loot and parts and such. So for opening up the final one, we get the Sticky Fingers trophy, which honestly safes weren't that good, but I do very much appreciate the trophy. Now, the little boy ended up getting bit. This is where I talk about the story going quite tragically. So In the morning, Ellie is told to check on him and wake him up, and discovers him tweaking, and well, he attacks her, and I'll just let this scene play out.
That's my fucking brother! Screw it!
Shit.
Ellie? Ellie, are you alright?
Oh my god.
Sam?
Oh no.
Sam? Henry? Ellie, stay there. Henry? What have you done? I'm gonna get that gun from me, okay? Oh, okay, easy. It's your fault. This is nobody's fault, Henry. It's all your fault! Henry! Henry, no!
Oh my god.
After that, we skipped a couple weeks or months into the future, and we're at search for Joel's brother. And after completing this little puzzle, we get a trophy for not high-fiving Ellie. I honestly felt bad when I had to do it, but it gave me the left hanging trophy, so it made up for it. And a little later, Joel meets up with his brother, who left him before we started playing to join the Fireflies, and they kind of had a falling out, so now he's on his own with his new wife, and they have a heartwarming reunion. We look at his little spot and we walk and talk until we can pet the dog for the trophy. Who's a good boy? The dog's name is Buckley, by the way, and it's a very convenient but missable trophy. Next, we arrive at the University of Eastern Colorado, where we get a lot of collectibles, but one very bad thing ends up happening that kind of changes the story going forward. While Joel's fighting someone, he gets pushed down the railing and impaled in the abdomen by a piece of rebar, which obviously, if you know anything about injuries like that, it's a very serious injury. And basically, I don't even know how he makes it, I'm going to be honest. I mean, we run around the university, and I can't believe he survived. But after he makes it out, he's bleeding out, and Ellie just absolutely beams that guy. I was so hyped during this. But she somehow gets him onto a horse and gets him to safety. I still don't know how she did this without Joel dying, because I think in real life, I don't know if you'd die right away, I guess. I'm not a medical professional, of course, but she somehow gets him to safety. Since Joel is injured, we play as Ellie, and we see the scene that made all the streamers cry when they played the game. And essentially, it's wintertime now, so she's got to be more careful. And with Joel injured, she kind of just hunts. That's what the first part of this very, very long chapter does. She goes hunting and eventually finds this deer. This deer is actually very important because she meets these two guys chasing after it, and they end up being some pretty big jerks. She makes it out of the encounter after killing a bunch of zombies with them. Pretty good and safe, but she didn't end up getting the deer. But here we can actually see Joel as she traded the deer for medicine. I just remembered while saying this. And she gives the medicine to Joel so that he doesn't die of infection and such. But this is basically his little camp that he's been at, just laying there in the freezing cold. I genuinely couldn't imagine doing this, being all obviously injured and still withstanding the cold, basically being with no heating. But those people that Ellie was with ended up, coming back, and they weren't as nice this time, with Ellie sliming one of them. And they were looking for her to grab her, I think. And this started her beef with them, which escalated a lot. And honestly, I can't remember why they beefed so hard, but this went really far. Eventually, Ellie crashes and has to continue her look for shelter on foot and finds out that the horse that has been with us since Joel reunited with his brother is dead, which for you guys is only a couple minutes, but this horse has been carrying the last couple chapters. And Ellie ends up getting captured, where we see a familiar face, except we find out that they're cannibals, and that's obviously not good. They try to feed a person to Ellie, and that's where she really doesn't want to be around them anymore. Joel wakes up, and we get to play as him for a bit. Basically, for the rest of the chapter, we kind of flip-flop in between playing as Joel and Ellie. Even while he's injured, he could still run and shoot somehow. I don't really understand how it makes sense. But after everything that happened to her, Ellie got a little angry and decided to really talk things out with the leader of the group that captured her, until Joel breaks up their little argument that they had. And, well, they're reunited at once, which was actually kind of nice because I thought Ellie was going to die. And they escape that place. Even more time passes, and they make it to Salt Lake City, where one of the coolest, in my opinion, areas, well, not areas, but moments in the game happens. So basically, they go by where an old zoo was, and they see giraffes, which is crazy because, like, giraffes in the apocalypse? I mean, Ellie grew up after the apocalypse had started, so she never got to see zoos and such before. And at first, I didn't understand how they'd survive, but obviously they eat grass, so that's how. Here we actually get 2 collectible trophies. The first one for finding all workbench tools, which basically allow you to get other, like, more upgrades for your guns, but that trophy is called Sharpest Tool in the Shed. And here, while in a tunnel, you know, trying to, I guess, fight through these zombies, we get the Something to Fight For trophy for finding all of the training manuals. As I said, each of those gives skills. The final one gives us 2x explosion radius. Also during this mission, we get the Prepared for the Worst trophy for finding all workbenches. These are just spots to work on your weapons. I apologize for it being so dark. This game is a very dark game. That's why I guess they give you a flashlight. We go through an underwater tunnel, and newsflash, Ellie can't swim, so she kind of drowns, and Joel tries to save her, but then fireflies come and find us and capture and, like, take us to their hospital of all places. So, like, yes, we got captured, but Ellie was able to be resuscitated, and that's the girl from the start of the game. That's why I said to keep her in mind as she actually lives, and we find her here. Now, Joel was sent to bring her to them so that they could find a cure, and, I mean, little did Joel know that they would have to kill her to get the cure, so he kind of, you know, goes rogue and crashes out as he does, and killed a bunch of people. Here's another kind of collectible trophy for opening shiv doors, where we get Master of Unlocking. Basically, you use shivs to open up kind of loot rooms. Some of them have safes and other collectibles inside, but there's that trophy. And after fighting our way through the hospital, Joel successfully gets Ellie, and, well, he injures his old friend from the Fireflies that we met at the start of the game, and then he politely asks her to leave them alone so that she doesn't come after them again. And essentially, after this, the game ends in kind of a weird way. But as I said, he politely asks her to leave them alone. And we are in the final area of the game, where we get another collectible trophy called Endure and Survive for grabbing the final collectible comic book. Now, don't ask me why this trophy's gold and all the other collectible trophies are silver, but there's that trophy. And after this scene of Ellie and Joel talking, we actually complete the game, which, honestly, I loved this game very much. So it was fun to finish it and play through, but it ended kind of weird because she just wanted to make sure that everything he said about the Fireflies was true, and then she kind of just said, okay, and ended the game. But we get a nice little title screen, and of course the gold trophy no matter what for completing The Last of Us Part 1. Now next, we had to get one collectible trophy I had to clean up, and then it was on to the DLC. So here we get that last collectible, look for the light for getting the last Firefly pendant. I had to get a couple of these, but this one was the final one, the same mission that Tess died, but there is the trophy. The DLC starts with Ellie just in her room. It's essentially a, like, prologue to the story. This is a little bit before Joel finds her. I think a couple weeks, actually 3 weeks before Joel finds her. This is her friend, Riley. She talks about her throughout the story. I didn't include any parts of it, but she does talk about her quite a bit. They're essentially just childhood friends, but the problem happens when Riley reveals that she's joining the Fireflies. Now, this is before Ellie's had her run-ins with the Fireflies, but it essentially means that she has to leave. So they go around finding fun stuff, but this DLC kind of has 2 parts. So it gives us the story of how she took care of Joel and took him to a mall, because her and Riley hung out at a mall before everything went down, and she takes Joel to a mall where she has to kill a bunch of people. I mean, it's 2 very different sides of things. Here is them entering the mall, basically sneaking out at night to get to the mall, but it shows the childish fun that they have, like the brick throwing contest and stuff, where it's just, 2 kids having fun versus the more adult situations where she has to go through killing everyone. But we do get a trophy for winning this brick throwing contest called Brickmaster, which she says it right as the trophy pops, and we actually get a bunch of trophies during the DLC. Another collectible type trophy that we get is from listening to all Ellie's jokes. She says some of these during the main story and the rest of them during the DLC, but after hearing a diarrhea joke, we get That's All I Got trophy for surviving all of Ellie's jokes. Honestly, they weren't that bad, but I do think it's funny that they decided to word it as surviving Ellie's jokes for, the trophy. Another collectible was the optional conversations, giving the Getting to Know You trophy for essentially getting all of them. Basically, you just had to talk to NPCs throughout the story. Another trophy that we get here is for defeating Black Fang without being hit. This is actually hard. Basically, Ellie and Riley go to the arcade, but this game is broken, so they can't play it. So essentially, Riley talks Ellie through it in her imagination, so we get to play this kind of old Street Fighter like fighting game, but it's all in her imagination. But we do get a trophy for it, which is nice. Now, if you're platinuming the game, and there's the trophy, Angel Knives, this next trophy you can't get before the other ones. So do this trophy before the last one you saw, but this trophy is called Nobody's Perfect because Ellie played a racing game that didn't have any power and kind of embarrassed herself. So there's that trophy. Ellie and Riley have a water gun fight in which they play 3 rounds, and of course I won because I just absolutely shit on Riley. But as you can see here, it's not very difficult, but as long as you win the water fight, so this is technically a missable trophy, you get a trophy called Skills. As you could see, second I saw her, shot her, and got the Skills trophy for winning the water fight. Quick intermission of the DLC. For getting this trophy, I had to grab the machete melee weapon, upgrade it, and break it. Now, the reason that I quick ran past is because I didn't want this to be the last trophy in the platinum, and you can only get it during this one part of this one chapter. So, after using chapter replay and almost getting myself killed, I got the build 'em up and break 'em down trophy. Next, we get one of the biggest collectible trophies in the game for collecting all the artifacts, which is the Gold Chronicles trophy. Very happy to get that one. Literally a minute later, we get another trophy. This is when we're playing in modern day with Joel for essentially getting zombies to kill players by using bricks. It can be done in the story, but it's harder, so it's much easier to do at this spot in the DLC. And once it happens, we get the live bait trophy. Now for the sad part of the DLC, which of course happens to be the end. Ellie and Riley essentially get attacked by infected inside of the mall, and they both end up getting bit. Now, Ellie doesn't know it at this point, but she is immune. This is the same bite that we see later in the game, which proves that she is immune. Now, Riley is not immune, so we don't see her die, but we know what happens to her because, obviously, if they both get bit and Ellie's immune but Riley isn't, then we know that she either turned into an infected or Ellie, or I guess she could have killed herself, or she died. Now, I do have live commentary getting this platinum, so I will let you enjoy that. What a good game, and DLC too. They were both great, and Don't Go. And before the platinum pops, I just want to say the reason I sound so unenthusiastic isn't because I didn't like the game. I absolutely adore this game. It's great. Expect a platinum on part 2. But it is currently late at night, and I have work tomorrow, and I'm sick. So, yeah. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and yes! It can't be for nothing. The platinum trophy. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.